Coming up, we have your July 2023 Las Vegas real estate market update.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve.
And I'm Kristen.
We are the Thomas Group with Real Broker, your local Las Vegas and Henderson Realtors, here today to bring you your July 2023 real estate market update from
Trilogy at Sunstone.
Yeah, this is a community up right in the far northwest of Las Vegas. Shout out to George, who often watches our channel and commented on one of our last videos. He said, why don't you come and do a little video, up in my community? And we thought, well, why not? Because this is really, I would say, the most affordable part of town in terms of new construction.
Bang for your buck.
Bang for your buck, yeah. Also, I would say potential growth as well.
Yeah.
Because there's so much new construction around here, you guys. If you've never bought a brand new home before, typically the best time to buy one of those homes is right at the beginning. Now, there's pros and cons to that because you've got to live through construction and whatnot. But you get appreciation as the builder sells through that community, and you build that in. So a lot of options up here.
Yeah, we're in Sunstone. It's across from Sky Canyon. There's going to be 3,600 new homes when they're built out. And Lennar is building up here, Woodside, and then where we're at now, which is Trilogy by Shea Homes. It's a great 55 plus community. If you are looking for a retirement community and you're more active, Shea Homes is where you want to be, either here or in Summerlin, because their events are definitely a step above what they are in other communities. Their director of event planning is super involved, so it's really great community for you to check out.
Awesome. So yeah, take a look if you're looking at new construction, want something affordable. 400,000 I think they start around.
Yeah, all of the communities here start around 400,000, and I mean, it's beautiful. You've got mountains all around.
Yeah, the views are really pretty.
Like Steve said, that the Northwest is really, they're building up. Like say that a trendy place, a boutique or something, originally they would open up in Henderson and Summerlin. Well, they're starting to open up in the Northwest as well to serve this demographic too. So
absolutely. So should we talk about the real estate data?
Yeah,
what's been happening in the market?
So really quick before we get into it, just a little teaser. Some things we're going to be talking about is you might have heard that the student loan forbearance is running out. So I know we've heard a lot of questions like, what does that mean? Are all these people going to be defaulting on their mortgage payments? Talk about that. New home sales, a really interesting stat on that, and something new called the contingency upon sale addendum that we have here in the Las Vegas market.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about buying a home and selling one at the same time, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and how this can actually benefit you.
Absolutely. All right, so let's start with single family home statistics, as we always do. The median sales price last month was $441,000, basically unchanged from the previous month, and we're down about 8% from the same time last year.
Okay.
So I'm really happy with that. We're hoping it kind of stays slow and steady, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? Because
yeah, we'll see.
It's a very weird time right now.
Yeah.
Like just last week we saw interest rates go right the way back up again, and then 3 days later the inflation data is released, and it's looking like things have cooled down to a half decent level, and then interest rates come back down again. Who knows really, what's going to be happening, for the rest of the year, but a very unusual time.
I was just going to say, when you say that the interest rates have come back down, I mean, they're still just under 7, which, is very high. I remember this time last year when, everybody was panicking because they were at 5%. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I actually, I remember something else I pulled. I pulled a chart of historical appreciation, just kind of looking back to what appreciation was like, not during COVID, not during this post-COVID time. It was very, very slow and steady. So I'll flash it up on the screen so you can kind of see what a normal market really looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. That's for sure. One thing that when the interest rates go back up, something that always goes into my head is, have we actually seen the true cost of the money printing that happened during the pandemic? Because I don't think a lot of people really fully understand how much money was printed. It has to have a knock-on effect throughout our society,
right?
And where we're feeling it and not, you know, we've all been feeling it, right? But is that enough? Like,
right.
you know, if we go back into when our parents bought homes, when interest rates were 12, 13, 14, 15%, right. You know, people still bought and sold homes. Then it's just what it was. They were less
expensive though,
right.
compared to the average salary.
I know, but I'm just where I'm going with this is, could that be a possibility?
Oh, right.
I don't know, right? Who knows?
Right.
Like, nobody's got a crystal ball, right? So I guess, you know, you always have to make the decisions that are right for you, ultimately, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on to units sold. There were 2,293 single-family homes sold last month, down 1% from the previous month, so that's same negligible, and down 14% from the same time last year. You know, I think that might shrink a little bit more even headed into next month.
The unit sold.
The unit sold, just because the interest rate's up around, they've been hovering around 7 this whole month, and that's going to affect our closings.
And I mean,
there's no inventory.
I was just going to say, and there's no inventory.
Oh my goodness!
Like there's now the market's still very active.
Yeah.
We've been. I mean, I can only speak for myself. You let me know. You know your what's been happening for you and your clients. But for the offers that I've been writing recently, we have either had to come in very strong, very fast as soon as the house hits the market, and take it off the market.
Right.
Or we're in a competitive situation where we've got multiple offers.
Right.
Have you been seeing
100%? Yeah, because everybody's doing the same thing. All of our buyers we're waiting around because there's no inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And when that one house comes on 2 weeks from now, well, we want it, but so do all these other people.
Right, exactly.
Totally.
Yeah. So I think you're right. Like, that like, although demand is there, I mean,
waiting.
although it's shrinking, I don't want it to be misconstrued that the demand isn't there, right? The demand is there. It's just there's not enough homes, and that's not going to affect.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And so, speaking of not enough homes, the inventory essentially remained the same from the previous month. We're down 36% from the same time last year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This time last year was right around when their interest rates had hit 5% and the market kind of screeched to a halt. Like, buyers were freaking out, sellers were freaking out because their homes weren't getting 20 offers the first day.
Yeah.
It was a really weird time.
Yeah.
So the sellers were just pulling their houses off the market at that time. So I'm not really surprised we're down 36%. There were 2,617 new listings, about the same as the previous month, down 44% from the same time last year. So there's not enough new listings coming on. I mean, we talk about it, you've read this in articles online and in newspapers, that nobody's moving because it's very difficult to leave a sub 3% interest rate and then now go to a 7%. Even if you think you're downsizing, your payment might be more.
People are turning those properties into rentals too, and cash flowing from them. So they're just, I mean, we've been saying this for a year, that we couldn't forecast or foresee or predict where a flood of inventory is going to come from.
Right.
Because people were, you know, commenting, and I know, you know, all over the place, right? That the market's going to crash.
Right.
We're going to be in for a bad ride, and it's just always dependent on supply and demand.
Right.
And the supply's really low, demand is still high, and that's why.
At this point in time,
exactly. Right, exactly. So who knows, right?
Right. All right, so it is the middle of the summer and we're filming outside and our phone overheated, so hence the scenery change. But you can see the beautiful mountains.
Not our phone, like we've got like 100 cameramen here.
Oh yeah,
everyone got too hot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the very last thing I wanted to touch on, Steve, is the months of inventory, and we're at 1.6, which is up just slightly from the previous month.
Yeah, so still very heavily favoring the seller.
Yeah. All of these factors are really playing into some other things, and there was some new data that came out this past month showing that in a traditional market, previous years, whatnot, about 10 to 15% of all home sales were new construction. And now this is a national statistic, but nationally now, that's about a third. New construction is about a third of all new home sales, slightly more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, it's not surprising when you think about it, because, I mean, the builders right now are offering incentives that are hard to be, really.
I mean, it's hard to say no to. Like, some of the builders are offering $26,000, covers all your closing costs and a little bit of like money to go towards design options and stuff. But I think, you know, there's just a very large percentage of people don't want to do any work in a house. They want it just to be turnkey. Now, they're not all wanting it to be a palace, right? But they want it to be turnkey, and obviously new construction gives you that. Right. Plus a plethora of options, like, you know, you've got different floor plans and models. More modern floor
plans. I know a lot of our buyers want open floor plan, and that is harder to find in older homes. So. Yeah. And they're offering the, you know, a fixed interest rates, which is difficult to compete with. And I know a couple of you actually have commented in the past asking why, like, hey, I see that Toll Brothers is offering, you know, this 5.5% interest rate, but they're excluding, you can't be a veteran or you're using FHA, like, what's up with that? Well, what the builders do is they buy these loans in bulk, and when you're essentially taking on that loan, you're kind of slipping into an already pre-made box.
Right.
So you have to, it has to
kind
be
of assuming it.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be conventional. You have to be within a certain credit score, etc. So that's how they're able to do that. Is they bought these bundles when the interest rates were lower, and now they're passing them on to you.
That's very smart, and they must have obviously anticipated interest rates going up, right?
Exactly. You know, yeah.
You think about that. All right, just quickly before we move on to the townhomes and condo statistics, I'd just like to talk about the contingency upon sale addendum, if that's okay. Yeah. So for those of you that are wondering what a contingency upon sale addendum is if you are a buyer wanting to purchase a home, but you need to sell your home in order to purchase that other home, you would write your purchase agreement based on it being contingent on you selling your current home. Right. Now stay with me here so you don't get lost. If you are a seller accepting one of those purchase agreements, previously what happened was your house is essentially taken off the market, and you're not able to accept any offers, and that wasn't really very beneficial to the seller.
Yeah, so they just wouldn't accept the contingent sales.
Exactly.
Very rarely.
Very, very rarely. It's very difficult to get a contingency sale accepted, especially if the house that you're selling is in another state, because the listing agent here in town is going to, you know, not have any data about your market, not understand it. They're going to feel uncomfortable and tell the seller, look, I just don't feel comfortable about this. But now they've made a change, and the reason I'm sharing this is because I know a lot of you guys and girls that watch this, you know, you use other real estate agents, that's fine, we're a little bit mad at you, but I want to give you a little tip, because a lot of real estate agents don't know this, that in the MLS right now, that there is a box that you are able to check if the property that you're wanting to purchase has gone under contract based upon a contingency upon sale addendum. Now, what this essentially means is that if you're a buyer and you don't need to sell another house to buy another one, and somebody has already got theirs under contract but it's contingent, you can now slide in and take that property away, essentially.
Yeah, right. So in a market like this where inventory is really low and there's nothing on the market, you know, it's worth searching for these homes that are contingent upon sale, because until the buyer has their house that they're selling over here under contract, like Steve said, you can slide in and submit an offer and potentially get that offer accepted.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're a seller, you know, here in town, then you can take advantage of that as well.
Exactly.
Right. So if you need more info, reach out to us. Find all our info on the website, thomasgrouplv.com. Love to talk to you a little bit more about that.
All right, great. Let's look at the condo and townhome numbers. The median sales price stayed the exact same at $275,000, and we're only down 1.8% from the same time last year. So condo and townhome have appreciated a little bit more than single-family homes at this point.
Did they depreciate the same amount?
They depreciated more.
Wow, okay.
At one point,
they
depreciated more.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, I can see why, because when interest rates get this high and your payment becomes less affordable, you're starting to look at
more expensive properties. Yeah,
exactly. There were 646 condo and townhome sales last month, down 5.6% from the previous month. So definitely taking a little hit with the interest rates being high, and down 12.2% from the same time last year. let's talk about inventory. Inventory increased by 0.5%. That's basically the same as it was the previous month. And we're down 30.6% from last year. So inventory has shrunk quite a bit from the same time last year. There were 743 new condo and townhome listings, up slightly 2.5% from the previous month. Not much.
14 houses.
Yeah, is it? Yeah. And down 38% from last year. So definitely, again, a lot fewer people listing their homes right now. And we have 1.4 months of inventory for condo and townhomes, so still favoring the seller.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heavily.
Another thing I just want to, it's just going to come into my head real quick, and we did mention this in another video, but for those of you that are watching for the first time, thanks for joining. If you're buying or selling in this market right now, you're doing it concurrently, keep your eye out for loans that are assumable. Right, because I'm seeing a lot more people now that I feel like it's clicking. Like a lot of agents are now realizing that like to do an assumable loan's not that hard.
Well, it depends on the lender. I can just tell you that we have one on our team that's been trying to close for 4 months now because of all the paperwork that's happening through the bank. You know, all the bureaucracy. So maybe it's depending on who holds the loan, how long it's going to take. But it's a good way to get your offer accepted. Then,
well, I mean, not just that, right? But it's a good way to save money, because if you can assume someone's loan at less than 3% and we're at 6 or something now, right? Like, I mean, it's half the price.
Absolutely.
So it might be worth your time if you've got a little bit of time on your hands to be like, okay, I'll wait 4 months to make my payment 50% less.
100%. Yeah, for these buyers, it was worth it. Just maybe if you're a seller and you've got to be out, you know, soon, you just keep that in mind.
Right. Yeah, that's a very good point. Also, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but I'm glad you brought that up. And then the very last thing that we wanted to talk about is that the student loan forgiveness or forbearance, whatever it's called, is ending. And so I know I've definitely seen people asking, what does that mean? Like, were all these people qualifying for mortgages when they didn't have these, you know,
when they didn't have
$600 payments maybe for a family a month, and now what's going to happen? Well, do you want to explain?
Yeah, well, basically, in short, the lenders did take into account the debt that they had, and they placed in factors for their debt to build in the fact that they're going to have to pay that back at some point.
Exactly. They weren't just saying, oh, you don't have it right now, or the you know, that you were going to get this $10,000 completely forgiven. No, they definitely took it into account, and that was a smart move, and it was required by Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, etc. So
so I think this is another real testament to lending practices, because since 2007, 2008, where anyone could buy a place, now obviously it's tightened up, and this is good for everybody, right? Is that all we got?
That's all we've got.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about the real estate market, we would love to help. Feel free to put them in the comments. Reach out to us if you are thinking about buying or selling in Las Vegas, and we would love to help you out there. We find all of our information on our website, thethomasgrouplv.com. But for now, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again.